Hey guys, this is Christy. Welcome back to my channel. I have been thinking about this video for a couple of days and honestly don't know how to approach this. It needs to be addressed, obviously, but it's a weird situation, right? So we're just gonna dive in to what all has come out and what this could mean for the future of Adventures with Purpose. And you're just gonna sit here with me as I try to wrap my mind around all of this by talking through it, which I've been doing all weekend, and I still don't know quite where I'm at with it. To say I was shocked when it came out is probably an understatement. Also, there's a lot of background noise this morning. My husband is working from home. You can hear him walking around in the background. The dogs are in the house. You might be able to hear the TV. I don't know. Hopefully not. I will get him to turn it down. All right. So we got, this came out. This is just basically what you can get. You can pay $5 and get this from the state of Utah, and it just lists the charges, and it's kind of an electronic record of what's happened, you know, who's been served and what's been filed and things like that. It's page 2 of it. It's just a couple more electronic filings. And then these are the charges. Hang on, I need to put the trigger warning bunny up. And let me just say, this whole video could be triggering for people, honestly. So this may not be the video for you because it's a lot. But this says that Jared Leisek, sorry, I don't know why we've got the feedback. Jared Leisek, and it's got the criminal case number, and it says the undersigned complainant, Eric E. Butler, Deputy County Attorney, states on information and belief that the defendant at and within Sanpete County, State of Utah, did commit the crimes of count 1. Steve's like my bleep button, I guess. RAPE of a child, first degree felony, and charges that on or between October 1st, 1992 and November 1st, 1992, at and within Sanpete County, State of Utah, the defendant did have, basically he essayed a child who is under the age of 14 in violation of Utah code, and then the number. Count 2 is the same thing, different date, on or between January 1st, 1992 and December 31st, 1992. And like I said, everything else is the same. Let me get that down. And then the probable cause. Statement of probable cause. The defendant and the victim are cousins. In 1992, the victim was between 9 and 10 years old. The defendant is 7 years older than the victim. Just before November 1st, 1992, the victim lived in Ephraim, which is located in Sanpete County. About this time, the defendant and the victim were in the victim's bedroom when the defendant pinned the victim to the ground, pulled her underwear down, and put his P in her V. During another incident that same year, the defendant and victim were at their grandparents' house in Manti when the defendant laid on top of the victim and put his P in her V. This information was obtained from the following witness, Detective Corey Devon Krebs, Ephraim City, incident report number 22061017, dated 3 November 2022, and signed by Eric E. Butler, Deputy County Attorney. So, before I get into the emails, I guess what's hard is, I always say sometimes good people do bad things. And this is almost opposite. Like, he may have, in his distant past, been a bad person who is now doing good things, right? But that doesn't balance anything out. By no means is any of this okay. We didn't excuse this behavior with, like, Josh Duggar. We don't excuse this behavior with anybody. Don Wells is facing charges in Utah as well. We don't know, those cases. We know that after the incidents when they were young, they continued to do bad things and have disturbing behavior up until right now, right? We don't know with Jared what the story is. I have things from the cousin. I have things that have come out from his sister. But were there others outside the family or even inside the family? We don't know. And after this happened, we're going to get into, I've got some of Jared's story that we're going to get into. We know that he left. And I guess what I'm getting at is, does he still have these behaviors? Like, has anything happened since? Are we going to find out about some CSAM or CP that he's involved with? I don't know. There's just so much we don't know right now. But I'm not excusing, like, if he's been a perfect person since this happened, it doesn't excuse that it happened. So please don't take it that way. Please don't take it that way. It's just hard because Jared founded Adventures with Purpose, right? But Jared is not Adventures with Purpose. They're two separate things. So can you be upset with Jared and not be upset with Adventures with Purpose? I think so. Because there's all these other people, Doug and Nick and Cameron and all these other people, right, that are out there. And honestly, lately, Jared has kind of not really been on camera a lot, right? Now, there's going to be something about these emails that it's going to make you wonder, did everybody at Adventures with Purpose know? And if so, how much? But at the same time, I would hate to see all of the good that Adventures with Purpose has done be discounted and discarded because of what Jared did. I'm hoping that people can see that all the good that they did, it's still good that they did. even though he did something bad. And, you know, they've got this skill set, this talent for what they do. They're very good at it, better than law enforcement. And I would hate to see all of that destroyed, all of that just gone because of this. You know, maybe Jared is going to have to completely separate himself from Adventures with Purpose to save Adventures with Purpose. I don't know. Maybe Doug and Nick and all of them are going to have to go on their own and start something new to separate themselves from Jared. I don't know. I mean, there's other dive teams out there, like Chaos Divers is one that do this, but not really at the level of Adventures with Purpose. And I feel like this is going to hurt them. They're going to take a hit. I'm sure there's people that have already unsubscribed or canceled their memberships, things like that, that, you know, they're not going to want to buy their merch anymore because they don't want to appear to be supporting what he did. And I've seen a lot of people that, like, Jared just bought, I think it was 1.2 or something $1 million mansion, and there's a lot of people out there already saying, like, they don't want money that they've donated to the cause of Adventures with Purpose to go for the defense of Jared. And that's fair. You know, they always make it sound like anything that we contribute is going to fund them, to make it able for them to go out and do this for free for the families. And I'm sure that a lot of what they get does go for that, but you have to realize, you know, they have to pay their people, and Jared takes a salary. But I think that they've done a lot of good. I really do. And I think they could continue to do a lot of good. But I really think that this could impede on that. So let's get into these emails. So his cousin, she's emailing Jared, but she's going through AWP. So if you email Adventures with Purpose, these emails, this is what it looks like when they respond back to you. And at first I was like, well, why isn't she contacting him directly? This seems really strange to go through that method. But there's disconnect here, it sounds like. So maybe she doesn't have access to contact him directly, or maybe she contacted him this way because she wanted it known that this was going on. I don't know. I'm not going to judge her. She's a victim here. So it says, do you feel better as a person doing things like this? Does this make you feel like less of a child molesting monster parading around in human skin? There is no forgiveness for what you did to me in my home in Utah, Grandma and Grandpa's house in Las Vegas, and right above Grandma and Grandpa's head in their very own truck. The rest of the family is just about as much to blame as you, because they didn't turn you in when they knew better, and I was just a child and did not know better. And yet you're still welcomed at family get-togethers, or like my grandfather's funeral, the while in the parking lot getting ready to get out of the car and attend, I seen your face and became so violently ill I couldn't even attend. I had to drive down the street to CVS and watch it all via Zoom. All these people may be calling you a hero and saying that you're doing such great things, but we both know the truth about you, and you're obviously not ashamed of your past. But I also am not ashamed of my past, and I have a voice and I use it as much as I possibly can. Your secrets are not hidden. And then this is the response that she got back. And like I said at the top, it says AW support team. And that is what it looks like when Adventures with Purpose messages you. It says, I am so very sorry for the things that we cannot change, which sounds like something out of a 12-step program, right? The Serenity Prayer. It is unfortunate that the Leisek and Juhaz lineage experienced the shit that you, I, and many of the other cousins were brought into. Like yourself, I was once a victim by multiple people, both in and out of the family. It is unfortunate when families like ours experience Many of us cousins got together to acknowledge what had happened in our youth and made a pact to put an end to it and protect our children from anything like that ever happening to them. I have myself tried to apologize to you and to have an open conversation with you about it to answer any questions you may have. The first time that I apologized to you, I am sorry for the way that it was handled, for I was under the impression that your mother knew and that I felt it was appropriate at that time to have the conversation with both of you. I did not mean to embarrass you or to catch you off guard. The second time that I tried was not to clear my own conscience, but to help you heal and help with any struggles you may have been having, as many of us had to learn how to overcome and move forward. You essentially told me to go F myself and told me how I had embarrassed you the first time around. I'm sorry. My understanding is that the other cousins also have tried to have the same conversations with you. We are now all adults, and it is healthy for us to acknowledge and address those unfortunate circumstances from our past in our child and adolescent years. It goes on to say, well, there is a lot of shit that has happened throughout my own life personally, from abandonment, growing up in foster care, and any other shit along the way. I would not change a thing, for it has made me who I am today. And I just want to stop there and say, on one hand, it feels like, he's kind of justifying, like, well, all this shit happened to me too. And, like somehow that makes it okay or justifies it. But when he says the statement, I would not change a thing, for it has made me who I am today, I kind of see what he's saying there, because like I always say, I have no regrets. The good stuff, the bad stuff, everything that happened put me on the path to where I am now. It made me who I am today. And are there things in my past that I'm not proud of? Of course. But I wouldn't change it, because if I changed one little thing, it might have changed my entire path, and I wouldn't be where I am with my husband and my kids in my life. Now, I've never done anything like what Jared did, and I feel like if I had, that would definitely be something that I might want to change. But I can see what he's saying about it making him who he is today, because I always feel that way, that like every good decision, bad decision, every mistake, every little thing, every little step along the way has led me to today. So I can kind of get that. But again, like I said, I'm not making excuses for him at all. But I think a lot of people are taking that like no remorse, and he may have remorse, but he sees that was part of his path for whatever reason. I cannot apologize for others for anything that has happened to you in your life, but I have done my best to acknowledge directly with you my own mistakes. I hold no secrets as to this with my own parents, with grandma and grandpa, with your mother, aunt, somebody, my own wife, and my children. And I really wonder about that. How much do his wife and kids know? Did they get some watered down version, or do they really know? I have even discussed publicly about my situation and the unfortunate shit that has happened within families. Do we pinpoint it to the Leisek and Juhas lineage, or do we pinpoint to Mormonism? And you see this a lot with perpetrators of this kind of behavior. They place blame everywhere but on themselves, and a lot of times they blame religion, and here he's blaming Mormonism. And I will be the first to admit I do not know that much about Mormonism. I know some Mormons, but I don't know that much about their religion. He goes on to say, I do not have an answer. There is no way for me to understand the hatred and resentment that you must have for me over 3 decades later. I heard about your driving into the cemetery a few weeks later. Trust me, had I known that you had a desire to be there and that I was the only reason keeping you away, I would have 100% given up my time to do what I could to avoid the ceremony so that you would feel comfortable and have your time with Grandma and the rest of the family. It's your decision and your choice if you ever want to accept my apology. I have made peace in my life with all things bad, including this situation. If you ever want to discuss, I'm always available to have that conversation with you, either in person or over the phone. Sincerely, Jared. And, I think it's probably easier for him to be the one that did this, to be like, I've made peace with it and I've moved on. So, you need to just do the same thing. It's probably easier for the one that did it to make peace with it and move on than it would be for the victim. I think had that happened to you, it would be extremely hard and you probably never could get over it. It would affect you for the rest of your life. So it's not as simple as just being like, I'm sorry, okay, move on. So then the cousin sends back, if you truly want to apologize, then pay for your actions. Walk into a police station with me and confess your actions. Get it on record and have yourself registered as the sex offender that you are. My only regret in life was not being as open about you and your abuse to anyone and everyone who would listen like I am now, and turning you into the police like you should have been. I don't understand how you can try to get me to sympathize with you and your past issues. Not at all. It angers me twice as much to know that not only did you know firsthand the torture you were inflicting upon me because you experienced it yourself, that makes you an even bigger monster than I have had pictured in my mind. Absolutely disgusting. You're an emotional vampire. I noticed all the therapy terms you used in your message, typical narcissism at its best. How somebody could ever come to peace with damaging such a young, innocent human being is beyond me. Proof of a completely broken mind, assuming that there would be any kind of peace after those types of actions, or that peace should even be deserved. You are a pedophile. Do not act like you were not old enough to know what you were doing to me during the ages that you were. You could have been tried as an adult at that age and should have been. And as to the comments about my life and things that have happened to me, I don't know who or why you're even discussing me with, but I can guarantee you that nobody really knows anything, because just like your situation, I've kept my mouth shut until recently, and I don't talk to any of the family despite what other, as you say, cousins have come to you and said. So be a real man and turn yourself in and pay for your crimes, or continue to be the small, sad, mental midget that couldn't keep his libido under control and blames it on his past. And absolutely everything she said is fair. Absolutely. Like I said, if he went through it himself, then, we know that child SA abuse, it's a cycle. It sadly seems to just perpetuate through families. But somebody could break that cycle, and if it happened to him and he knew how it felt, for him to go and do that to somebody else is, it's hard to wrap your mind around. And he should know that it's not easy to just get over. And it's not fair of him to expect her to just be able to get over it. Just because he has doesn't mean that she can or should. So this is the response from Jared. Unfortunately, your desire to have a 46-year-old male live the mistakes of a 12-year-old simply is not realistic. He was not 12 when he did this. Thank God we are not forever judged for our actions as youth, and I am grateful that many of us cousins acknowledged and stopped those sins which happened to us and those sins we once committed as a result of grooming. It is healthy for you to now be open and talk about the past. You, as a full-grown woman in your early 40s, are to be commended for facing and standing up to those actions which happened to you in your past. Spread awareness and stop the cycle, as we cousins within the family have for our own children and grandchildren. Protect your own children and grandchildren as we have to help the world become a better place. We live in a society that acknowledges the mistakes made in the past, accepting those who have proven to change. My life holds no secrets, and everyone in my office feels your pain and has seen this email string, for I do not filter my own emails. They know me for the man that I am, and not the mistakes of a 12-year-old who learned to recognize the cycle and break the cycle, as many of us cousins did. You are younger and not yet ready to accept my apology and recognize the steps we made for future generations to protect them. I hope you can one day find forgiveness and peace. Feel free to have any last words, for I will not respond to any further attacks as to my character today based upon those actions as a youth. Should you desire a healthy adult conversation as to the past, I'm open to helping you through the acceptance and growth that many of us faced and have dealt with. And it goes on to say, if you have not done so already, I may suggest reaching out to, and then there's a name marked out, and lean on her for guidance as one closer to your age who within the family has gone through this with us. I'm not sure your relationship with aunt or your mother, but I'd suggest leaning on them as well, for they experienced much of the same in their own youth. Sincerely, Jared. And then this is the last of the emails. The cousin says, let's do some math here. I was 9 or 10 when living in Utah, and you forced me to have S with you on my bathroom floor upstairs. You are 6 or so years older than me. That makes you older than 12. In Las Vegas, at Grandma and Grandpa's house, you were living there and you had your own car, a Volkswagen Beetle, and was driving it when it ran. So please stop making it sound as if you were a young child during the time you were M-ing me. Maybe you started that young with the others, but as you are not willing to face your wrongdoing in a proper fashion, then that is on you and you alone. Anyone who supports you in your sick delusional fantasy of forgiving yourself for the pain and suffering you caused and willingly and knowingly caused not only a child but your own family member. But I do appreciate your admitting it all in writing. And Jared responds back simply, you're welcome. I hope it helps in your healing process, Jared. And then in a survivors group, this is part of a post from a cousin. It says, please beware, I had no idea until recently when I had the unfortunate chance of coming across a video of my childhood artist, Jared Leisek, my cousin. Yes, my own flesh and blood. And I wasn't his only family victim. And honestly, who knows how many others there are out there that aren't part of our family. Due to his diving group, Adventures with Purpose, this man is regarded as a hero and an angel, and he is invited into people's homes with welcome, loving arms. He has been through the system, CPS, the Mormon Church, therapies, and so many more, as you'll be able to tell from his writing. But I do know for a fact that he did not start with me, and he did not stop with me either. He, at one point, like you will read, did verbally admit to my mother that he had M'd me. Obviously, skimming over the more horrific parts, like his attempted S-ing of her daughter, directly above her. My grandfather and my grandmother's heads, by the way. And the fact that the age of 9, 10, he gave me, and the fact that at the age of 9, 10, he gave me a yeast infection from R-ing me, and I had no idea, so I had to go through the trauma of my mother and my grandmother finding white stuff in my panties and treating me horribly and questioning me and punishing me for the problem. When he told her, she started to cry, hugged him, and told him that she forgave him. She never turned him into the police, and I was never got any form of help or anybody to talk to about it. We went out to go travel on the carnival, which made me unable to be anywhere for more than a week, which meant that I couldn't say anything to anyone. My own mother protected him and never even talked to me about it, other than to tell me that she had been, and her story was worse than mine. He finally admitted it in writing because he and the family are all very sure that the statute of limitations have passed and he's safe, so he can. But just so you're aware, you can keep your daughter safe. Be very careful around this man. His business is in Bend, Oregon. So if what she's saying is right, the family protected him, which I guess makes sense if this was going on widely in this family and nobody was talking about anything. But I can't imagine if my mom, she finds this out and instead of comforting me, she hugged him. I mean, wow, it's messed up. So a lot of people are questioning the timing, and I'll admit I did too. It's like, why now? But I understand, it could take years, decades, whatever, to get to a point that you're brave enough, strong enough to come forward. But timing wise, Adventures with Purpose is huge right now. And these emails, they all started before the Kylie case, so you can't tag it onto that, but they've become very big and very popular. A lot of people were saying it was for financial gain, but by taking him to court to get him prosecuted, I don't see where she's gaining financially necessarily, but this was her response to a person that accused her of exactly that. She said, "Ouch, I have done nothing good with my life. Do we know each other personally for you to be making such a bold statement about me and my life? Nothing I have said so far has not turned out to be true, even though I was called a liar the whole time. Why are you convinced that this is a money grab? It's a criminal case, Utah versus Jared Leisek. How do I gain financially from that? I do not want a penny from this. I never asked for it when discussed with the prosecutor, and he never brought it up either. Feel free to ask me about anything else so I can let you know the truth, assuming did not do you any good in this instance. I do have a reason for waiting so long, as I previously stated. I had no proof until recently. It's been this hard on me with written proof and family that testified on my behalf that he admitted to them that he had done what he had done to me. Could you imagine if I tried this with nothing but my word against his? We've seen exactly how that played out in previous threads before the charges were made public. I was told to shut up by the mod until there was proof. People said horrible things about me, messaged me things even worse. This will be one of the hardest things I've ever done, and I wanted to be sure if I did it, I was able to meet the burden of proof. Thank you, Utah, for being thoughtful enough to victims to have no statute of limitations to protect those types of crimes." So we'll get into his sister a bit as well. And I was thinking, did they recently change the statute, or was this something that Utah always had? And I looked it up, and this is what I found. It says, in 2013, the Utah legislature removed the statute of limitations for most serious S crimes, allowing time for victims to come forward when they're ready, not when the state says they should be. So they removed the statute in 2013. Now, I don't know why 9 years later is when she decided to start trying to get her proof. But like I said, maybe that's when she finally felt ready, felt strong enough, because she's gonna catch a lot of heat from this, because Jared has a lot of supporters out there, and anytime you go up against somebody that has this great reputation, right, it's gonna be hard. It's gonna be hard. He's got the reputation, he's got the following, he's got the money. A lot of things are going in his favor. It sounds like the family is even on his side. So the timing is interesting, and I can't explain it, but that's only for her to know why now. So to get into the sister a little bit, I've got a few of her Facebook posts here. This one's her name is Jessica May Leisek, and it says, I got an order today to deliver to Jared L. on the outskirts of Redmond, Oregon. Delivery instructions said go through the green gate and go to the house. When I pulled up to the electric gate, it started closing, so I parked and got out of my vehicle with the order as I saw a man in the distance walking up the driveway. It was my older brother, Jared Leisek, who started screaming, F you, Jessica. No, Jared, you can't F me anymore, you psycho piece of shit. You knew you had your order and was driving all the way out here. Don't be mad at me for supporting people who want to put you away. Be mad at yourself for the things you have done to others. I might have been the first one you essayed, but I was far from the last. You're not a hero like others may think. You're a narcissistic piece of shit that's about to go down for your own actions. I'm afraid of you like others are. Or I'm not afraid of you like others are. You can't brainwash me like you have done to others. You made your bed, and now it's time for you to toss and turn and lose some sleep over your own actions. It's only a matter of time that the truth of Jared Leisek is revealed. Thanks for showing your face today. Now we know where to send the police. Here's another one. First message I received this morning was from the son of the first adult that R'd me. It seems as if the family is getting scared and they are now trying to slander me and scare me into keeping my mouth shut. Again, it's not going to work. Our family is sick, and I am not a kid that you can throw to the wolves anymore. I'm a wolf now, and I will not back down. Feel like I'm living with a target on my back, but I'm used to it. Been standing up for what's right my whole life while others are put on pedestals for doing harm to others. I appreciate the person that is standing up for what's right, as well as I hope this will protect innocent children. We weren't protected, but we're trying to help others. And in case you're not aware, yes, this is my brother. Changed my name to my real name on Facebook a couple months ago so I'd be easier to get a hold of due to this. And then she posted this on August 8th. If you have been sexually assaulted by a Leisek or a Juhas, you are not alone. Utah has lifted their statute of limitations. Time to speak up. But like I said, it was lifted apparently in 2013. I just got a text message from my mother that my grandfather passed away. Really? At 1 a.m. in the morning? I've been trying to get a hold of my mother for the last couple of years now with no luck. I was kicked out of the family at 14 years old for being R'd. I was a perfect little Mormon kid who was top in academics, sports, and had tremendous musical abilities. In third grade, my competitive nature turned into an academic competition with one of the other top athletes. We raced book through book, and I was already taking college courses at the beginning of middle school. There was no stopping us. I was the type of kid that everyone wanted. Ended up on the streets of Vegas with nowhere to turn, then ended up on the streets of Eugene selling drugs for a bunch of bikers who took me in after being R'd again. At 15, I pulled off one of the biggest heists Eugene had probably ever had. I definitely went into survival mode and adapted to my surroundings so well it made the chameleons jealous. I will say it again. Really? A text at 1 a.m. telling me my grandfather is dead when I have not been a part of this family for over 30 years? I have not been allowed in families' homes. I have not been allowed in families' lives. I have not been allowed at families' weddings. I have not been allowed at families' funerals. I have tried and tried to be a part of this family, but have to make the decision to not put myself through any more self-torture. The last time I saw my mother, I asked her if she would sign a paper to make sure that I had a 72-hour mental evaluation, since everyone in the family thinks I'm crazy. She told me that she would never do that because she was afraid they would never give me back. She only had a few bites of her sandwich, then said I was part alien, what type of aliens we were, what planet we were from, and then she left. I have been more idle this week than I have been in years, and this is a reminder that I still have no one to turn to. However, I have learned that being idle is not a bad thing. It just means that I can live my life with no fear. Anyone that has a problem with that can F the F off. And then she made a comment on one of her posts, and it says, I feel Joan of Arc running through my veins, always have and always will. My life is in danger at this point, and I'm not scared. I will die a martyr if that is my path. So, this family is kind of a mess. It's kind of a mess. So I guess at this point, comment and let me know what you think. Let me know what you think of what we've heard so far and what you're thinking of Jared. And let's get into Jared's story now. So he has a website and he talks about his life. And I picked out a couple parts of it that I wanted to talk about. It starts off, it says, my story. I live my life as an open book with no skeletons. If someone wants to know something about me, just ask. I care about people and their feelings, always wanting to encourage and uplift, but know that if you ask me something, I'll always be honest and direct. It may hurt your feelings at times, but know that I don't want to beat around the bush, and you'll always know where I stand. Some of you have found this page after researching my name, Jared Leisek, or Jared Ray Leisek, and want to determine if I am worthy of your trust, your friendship, your time, and or your business. We live in a digital age, and I have nothing to hide, so sit back and let me share my story. I'll touch on my childhood, my marriage, my homeless experience, successes, failures, and yes, I will even share the time I was investigated by the SEC back in 2001. So he says, my story is similar to many others. Broken home, multiple marriages for both parents, tossed into the foster care system at the age of 9, often wondering why the new children and stepkids were put on a pedestal and often left feeling abandoned. My grandparents finally stepped in and took me into their home. This is the time in my life which I learned proper hygiene, how to cook, clean, iron, how to love and be loved. I can't say I was always good for them, nor did I always stay out of trouble, but without them, I don't think I would have had a fighting chance for who I've become today. I thank and love my grandparents for the chance, the change, and the opportunities they provided me. Which, that all sounds really good, but now we know that it was during that time that he was essaying family members. I will say this, parenting does not come with a handbook. We can't choose our parents, but we do choose to be parents, so be the best parent you can be. While you can't change history, you can learn from your mistakes and the mistakes of others, making a change for the future. And I feel like here he's probably thinking of what he did and what happened to him as a child, saying like, I didn't have a choice in that, like how I was raised, but I can choose as a parent not to continue that and be a good parent and protect my kids from that, learning from his mistakes and others' mistakes and changing for the future really feels like, in hindsight, because this was put out way before these allegations, in hindsight, when you read this stuff now, it feels like, is that what he's talking about? Are those the mistakes that he's talking about? This part is called high school dropout and homeless. Homeless and eating out of garbage cans. I returned to live with my father later in life when he was between marriages. He soon married wife number 4, and once again I felt that we kids took a backseat to the new family. I bounced from friends' houses to friends' houses and finally dropped out of school. My journey took me to Grenada, in the Bahamas, and other parts of America. I ran out of money and soon became homeless, sleeping in parks, bushes, and hotel stairwells. I even sold perfume door to door, but it never seemed to make enough, leaving me at soup kitchens, wandering hotel halls looking for room service leftovers, and yes, I have even eaten out of garbage cans. During this 1.5 year long journey, I learned that I really didn't know everything, and as a result, I went back to school. So a lot of people are wondering, did he run to Grenada because of what he did? He didn't want to get charged or whatever. And along those lines, I'm wondering if he realized just how messed up this whole situation was, and he left to kind of try to get his shit together, like get his mind right. And is that when he started trying to move forward and past it? I don't know. But for whatever reason, he did leave and then he came back. This says, my junior year in high school, I put together a 10-page application to date Jared Leisek for fun one day. I handed it out to 20 or so girls who I was interested in, some who I was not, and some who I hoped had an interest in me. One of the girls was in my English class, and I never thought I had a chance with her. She filled it out with near perfect answers, along with the lipstick lip print she left and the perfume scent she sprayed on the application. It took another 3 months to get her to finally go on a date with me, for I found out she filled it out as a joke. Dating for 1.5 years, we graduated high school together in 1995 and married later that same summer. Here we are over 20 years later, and I can't think of a better person to have by my side as a wife and mother. She is my best friend, and I enjoy our weekly dates and the way she looks at me, the laughter, and our time together. It's my goal in life to keep my family together, to keep my girls well grounded, while at the same time giving them a life like no other. As a husband and father, I have a lot of responsibility, and I am grateful that I have had the good fortune of providing for them with my time and activities. Working mostly out of the home office or taking the laptop on the road has afforded me the opportunity to be around them and with them as they have grown. With less than 1 year to go, my youngest will be an adult, and I can't wait to see what the next chapter in life is for all of us. So I wonder, being a dad of girls had to really change his perspective on what he had done. You know, thinking, what if somebody did this to my daughters and things like that? You would think he would have more empathy for his sister, his cousin, as a dad of girls. You would think that would make him feel just absolutely horrible that he did that to somebody's daughter. But it remains to be seen. Now for some sad truth. While I have had an amazing life with my wife and our 2 daughters, I am saddened that I have a daughter who was not a part of my life and that we have all missed out on the adventures along the way. You see, back in high school, I had a fling and had always suspected that I might have a daughter out there. When she was 5, I pushed for a paternity test and was happy to hear that she was mine and how she would blend into our family. However, you can only imagine how one would feel thinking you are the child's father, only to learn you are not. Hang on here. Her father became vindictive and swore I'd never get a chance in helping raise her. I can't say that I blame him for what he did in keeping her from me, which kind of makes me wonder, I don't know who the mom is, but did the dad know about his past? Is that why he was like, you're not getting near my daughter? I don't know. She tracked me down in secret near the end of her high school years, and it was so great having a relationship with her. She wanted answers, but was never satisfied with my responses. She felt I didn't try and fight hard enough for her, despite the stack of court documents I've kept through the years. There's a hole in my heart from not being a part of her life. My heart hurts that she asked I not attend her graduation. My heart hurts that I was not invited to her wedding. My heart hurts that I have a grandson in this world who I've only ever gotten to see grow up through pictures and videos. It hurts that she and her husband don't respond to my text or emails. For the time being, I've given up reaching out as to not drive her further away and wait patiently for the day she lets me back into her life. She can't understand how I can love her, but as a father, you will always love your child regardless of the lack of time you had together through the years. So that's, I mean, there's more on his website if you want to go there and kind of take a look at it. But I just really want to know what you guys think about the cousin, the sister, and then Jared's kind of candy-coated story. I mean, he says that he's open. He doesn't have skeletons in his closet, but now some are falling out. And he is very open about things on there, but this never comes up, that it happened to him or that he did it to anybody else. And he says the people at Adventures with Purpose know. If they know, how does that make you feel about them? You know, it's a lot, right? Like, I still can't really process where I'm at with the whole thing, other than the fact that what he did is wrong. It's wrong, wrong, wrong. No excuses for it. And like I said, the good that he's done doesn't erase the bad that he did. But at the same time, Jared and Adventures with Purpose are two separate things. He founded it. He's a part of it. But is Adventures with Purpose gonna take the hit for something that he did? Is all that good gonna be erased? And what about all the families out there that are waiting for them to come and help them now? You know, that to me is a big concern. Is, you know, what happens to Adventures with Purpose? Can we separate the man and his bad acts from the group that has done so much good for so many people? That's the big question. So he is going to court towards the end of the month, and we're just going to kind of have to see where this takes us, what comes out, what we find out, the disposition. If he did this, then he definitely deserves to be punished for it, just like anybody else would be, regardless of who he is and all the good that he's done. He does need to have consequences for his actions, just like anybody else would. So leave me your comments and let me know what you think about the situation. Like I said, it's a lot to wrap your mind around. There's a lot of questions still out there that we just don't know. We don't have the answers to yet. And just let me know where you're at with all of it, because I'm still sorting it out. I want to say happy birthday to my oldest. It is his birthday today. He's out in Massachusetts going on a tour of the Freedom Trail in Boston with his wife today. So happy birthday, Brett. I love you. Thank you all for spending part of your Monday morning with me. Everybody go out and vote tomorrow if you're in the US. And as always, I will see you all in the next one.